Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
Broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vEXPERT.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. I am your host today, Doug Brown, and what do I say but thank you for attending, thank you for listening, thank you for driving in your car and hearing us as you drive down the road or working out or sitting at your desk or I don't know, but thank you so much for doing whatever you're doing as you're listening. I so enjoy it. I should do a poll sometime. When do you listen to podcasts? It's very interesting. I actually listen to them when I walk around. So I do, being that I live in Berlin, Germany now, I walk a lot. Walk to the train, sit on the train, walk from the train, just go for walks, things like that. I don't get in my car and drive anymore. I walk, and when I walk, I listen to podcasts. So I hope you enjoy this episode. We have a great episode. We have one of my favorite companies in the whole wide world on. And this is, I say that a lot, but I really mean it with these guys, Liquidware. And you might know them as Liquidware Labs, but they changed their name about a year ago. And just Liquidware. And they're going to bring us up to speed on what's new, which is always great because we bring them on quite often, but only when they have something new and that we can share with you guys and talk about cutting edge. They do some neat stuff. And today they're going to talk about object storage, which is sort of cool. So we'll get into that. But I'm also going to talk with Jason, our guest today, Jason Smith, about some of the trends he's seeing, because it's always neat. These guys talk to so many customers, right? They have customers, potential customers. They're at shows, they meet other people. They really have their finger on the pulse of what's going on. So I want to ask him some trends, what he's spotting. So we're going to discuss that a bit, and we're just going to have a fun time. Jason's a great guy, and it's always fun to have him on. So I hope you guys enjoy the episode. And with no further ado, here's my interview with Jason E. Smith from Liquidware. Okay, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us. It's nice to have you back on the show. I love having you guys on. I love Liquidware, and it's just going to be fun to catch up and see what's new. You guys always have new great stuff. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Well, I'm glad to do it. How many podcasts does this make for us? You and I
have no clue, but I think you surpassed Henrik. So there you go. Henrik,
that's a high bar.
Yeah, he was the first podcast, believe it or not, and Thinstall way back when, and so. But I love having you guys on. You guys always have, every time we chat, we have something. You have something new that's really cool, right? Last time we talked with Jason Maddox, and you brought out the Flex app stuff, right? Or am I?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This time I want to get to the new stuff last. Let's bury the lead.
Oh, cool.
And nobody fast forward this or jump to the end of this podcast because there's going to be so much meat in it, right?
Yeah, well, the fun stuff, we're going to talk about vision and what's going on, your perception of the community, what's going on in our space right now, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's, for those who aren't familiar, they might not have heard one of our previous podcasts or they live under a rock. And first of all, who are you? What do you do over at Liquidware?
Jason E. Smith. I have to use that E because there's so many Jason Smiths on Earth. So I'm Vice President of Products, and as such, I get to set the marketing direction for the products and also have great input on our product management teams. And you get to work with an excellent team. Just, I love to go to work every day because I feel like that being what we do is Liquidware, third-party workspace environment management, we work with all the vendors. Citrix, VMware, Amazon Workspaces, Windows Physical. Any way you can deliver a Windows desktop, that's our customer base. We help them control the user experience, make it better through monitoring, and then through migration and ongoing management with our UEM solution called ProfileUnity. And then our application layering to lay down applications to where it makes it easier to manage those, easier to deliver them across OS even, and then to ensure that user experience on the back end with Stratosphere.
Very cool, very cool. And you brought up AWS, since that's something that's I'm very intrigued by and interested in, and think that they have a very much of a future. And I was meeting with those guys, the AWS guys, and just talking to some AWS partners and customers, and they all say the same thing: is that if you buy workspaces, you buy Liquidware, which is a real testament to what you guys have built, right?
Yeah, that's certainly the rumor on the street right now. We'd love to be engaged with every type of Windows still, but Amazon Workspaces, it seems that the community's really latched on to Liquidware to help add visibility and help plan for a real DaaS, turnkey DaaS environment. So our solution set matches up perfectly with them, giving you that user management, also user experience monitoring, diagnostics, and then an even better way to keep your base image management light for not only Amazon Workspaces, but for their AppStream solution too, to deliver and layer applications so you don't have to keep modifying the base image.
Absolutely. So we want to talk about some trends and things like that. And as you mentioned, you are the third-party workspace environment manager. So, what kind of trends are you guys seeing? Because you do work with you do have a little touch into about every different type of Windows desktop, right? So, what are you seeing? I'm starting to hear some rumblings about it's the year of VDI again, and those people just upset me. But I've also heard some rumblings about, it's starting to be the year of DaaS. Now, I think personally, it's not going to be a year of DaaS. It's going to be a decade of DaaS, but we're not there yet. So, at least that's my opinion. What are you guys seeing?
We're seeing onboarding to DaaS, but no one is abandoning virtual desktop on-prem yet in lieu of DaaS. Maybe there's a few, but we're seeing planning and early deployments. So I would equate DaaS, desktop as a service, and the life cycle of onboarding to that, and the maturity of that market to where we were with VDI in 2010 or 2011, where you're getting some pretty rapid onboard of projects into it. And love to use this term. It's like, what's the easiest to virtualize desktops? What we see is a lot of organizations looking at call centers first, because maybe they have a handful of apps that, it's a very predictable desktop. They have call centers where maybe they have a 24-hour call center and have 3 shifts working out of that one location, and they can come in with and log on with a thin client device, or even a repurposed physical desktop, and have their DaaS desktop in that environment, work their 8-hour shift, log off, and the next person gets that desktop, and they have 5 predictable applications that they need to run to use their job. So those were the easiest desktops for early VDI, and that's the easiest desktops we believe we're seeing for DaaS. But we're seeing them move to more what we'd call knowledge workers and power users in the organization being able to use DaaS desktops as well, as we see the maturity of the cloud increase, especially through 24/7 accessible storage and storage that's with, like the case of Google Cloud. You put something in your Google Cloud object-based storage, and it's replicated immediately around the world. It's none of this East or West Coast type, where's my data? It is everywhere. Same as if you were doing a Google search, and you can get the same Google search results here as you do in Australia, because things are replicated so quickly. That's the same benefits you get with their object-based storage. So those types of technologies come a long way in helping the desktop as a service community really communicate immediately with the data that they need to do their job, no matter where they've logged on on the planet. So it's made the use case for that even wider.
Yeah. Actually, Jason, depends on where you are. It actually does depend on your search results, what you get back. For example, this is something I quite enjoyed learning about. So, gosh, it was probably 10 years ago, at least 10, probably 15 years, 12 years ago, I started really learning about how search works. So, for example, if you search for the word Jaguar, how do they know what you want? Do you want the old Apple operating system? Do you want the car? Do you want the cat? Right? Location actually plays into that. Because you're in South America, well, maybe you're worried about the cat, right? If you're in New York City, I doubt you're going to be worried about, hey, or looking for Jaguars, the animal, right? So,
do they do location awareness in that, or do they detect the Google domain you logged on to? .au or
no, it's definitely
.com.
locational. It's one of my me
That's
sitting
cool.
here in Berlin. It's a real bummer because everything I do, every website I do, some of these guys are so localized. It's incredible. It's like, no, I'm an American. I'm an English speaker. I just happen to be in a different country. Please do not give me the Deutsch webpage. Don't give me all Deutsch responses. I cannot read it. I understand 6 words in this giant thing. So you have
That's
to.
neat.
You really have to go in and change it. Some browsers, Chrome, it's a lot easier too.
Hey, location awareness is where it's what it's all about. For that, it's also I'll rope us back in.
Sure.
User environment management. We do that with our user environment management, right? We know where you've logged on in the building. We give you things pertinent to your desktop experience, too, whether that's the desktop applications or whether that's printers in your area and things like that. So, yeah. How naive of me to think that the search wouldn't be the same way.
Yeah. So it depends. I mean, it's at the end of the day, as you guys know so well, it's about giving the best user experience, and it would make some sense that, if you're coming in from Germany, you'd want the German webpage, but that's not always the case. No, I have a question for you relating to, as I said, sort of, the trends and what have you. What do you think the hurdles are right now? What are you hearing about what's preventing people from going to the next step, to go into DaaS or going to whatever, right?
Yeah, it's we've not done a survey on this one, but I believe that it's being comfortable with what you have that works today. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
And take a risk on bringing down your enterprise. So I believe it'll be a slow. I agree with you what you said. The multi-year cycle of DaaS. It'll be a slow onboarding process, and what we'll see is we'll continue to see heterogeneous ways of delivering Windows. Right. So on-prem's not going to go away. Physical desktops aren't going to go away. It's going to become increasingly mixed use of the way that Windows is delivered. So we're seeing this in our own customer base, where we see customers some customers have Citrix, VMware, and a touch of AWS workspaces as well already. And, when you couple that with many of them are running Windows 7, Windows 10, Server 2012, Server 2016. They're about to start onboarding Server 2016. I believe it would be called R2. And multiple versions of Windows 10. You have quite the challenge on your hand for managing a mixed environment.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what are the strategies that you're seeing to address that? I mean, it's definitely a hybrid world, right? And that's
right.
It's nice that we're not just dropping the old and moving to the new. We're going to have a smooth migration, let's call it. But what are the strategies that you guys are seeing your customers and deploy to achieve that?
We see them doing the thing that they decide is right for their environment. Surprisingly, we've seen a resurgence in RDS, and also, of course, Citrix XenApp. Deployment that we just did a few weeks ago, running a hospital. You'd think that at this point they might be trying some VDI, but this hospital in particular, 14,500 users in the Kentucky, it's a hospital system region area, had 100 XenApp servers that they wanted to move from. They were running actually 2008. Server 2008, and they needed to get to 2016, and we were able to help do that. But my point is that they were sticking with Citrix XenApp. It's proven to be able to do that. So we've seen that, but we also see organizations, as I already spoke of, certain use cases being able to move straight to DaaS for certain use cases, call centers, for example, task workers, that have those predictable desktops. But that's going to, I predict that'll rapidly expand beyond that, just as VDI has done, where we have more mature technologies to roll out more comprehensive and customizable desktops with DaaS. You'll be able to do that as well. And in certain cases, the line's blurred. It's just the same desktop that's hosted somewhere in the cloud. But some of that's pure DaaS, what I would call Amazon workspaces, where everything is up there. Your storage is up there, your servers are up there, everything's up there. There's no tiebacks to on-prem. They're able to leverage S3 storage for user-authored data drives and things of that nature. So that's the trends that we're seeing, and that's why increasingly heterogeneous again. And that's why organizations need a strategy that provides a tie that binds, and that, quite frankly, is where workspace environment management comes in. Same reason that Citrix acquired some tools to do workspace environment management, VMware acquired some tools to do workspace environment management. But with our suite, you're able to have a third party be at the helm of doing that. And if you fast forward a picture of where any enterprise is going to be in the next few years, any large enterprise, they're probably going to be on a mix of these types of desktops, and they want to move at a moment's notice to the next desktop that they think or perceive or have proven is more efficient. And when you're able to have your workspace environment management managed by a third-party solution set, arguably best of breed and innovative in many ways, you're able to get the next desktop ready, whether that's in the cloud or in your own data center or maybe a physical desktop upgrading to the latest version of Windows 10, and simply have the user log on. And you don't have to worry about workspace environment management that's tied to a platform like Citrix, that's tied to a platform like VMware or anyone else. You can move very quickly to that next desktop. So it helps in migrations or to avoid migrations because we connect the dots across the top. We also help you plan for what those are on the front end. So the strategies that we saw in early VDI we see are being used in these heterogeneous desktops, not only DaaS but physical, going back to physical as well. That helps you, across those with our suite. So that's assess with Stratosphere again, migrate and manage with ProfileUnity and the policy management and the security settings we get with application rights management embedded, and then layering applications that once you package those applications, they'll work across any of those environments. Almost all the time, those packages will work. So you package something for Windows 7, and it's just going to work for Server 2016 R2 in almost all cases.
Okay, so what can you tell us what's new? So we talked about trends a bit. What do you guys? And of course, Synergy is coming soon too. So I imagine you have some cool stuff there. Maybe you can share some stuff about what you'll be talking about at Synergy.
Yeah. So good point and good segue, because what we've got ProfileUnity has had significant updates that fall right into these heterogeneous desktops, and how it can help you move to DaaS, or at least start taking advantage of more cloud services for your desktop environment, even if you're not going to DaaS. So what we'll be doing is we'll be showing off the latest version. It supports native, keyword native, object-based storage for your user profiles. And also we'll be showing how you can leverage commercial cloud services like Dropbox Enterprise and Google Cloud and others for user-authored data. That would be like things you'd normally save on My Documents and things like that. But these are features that will be embedded in this latest version of ProfileUnity that enable you to, instead of specifying an SMB drive where your profile will be efficiently compressed and stored and ready to go to the next operating system at log off, saving that to a native object-based path for either Amazon's S3, Google Cloud, or Microsoft Blob services. And that's the big thing. When I say native, let me clarify. You no longer have to use an SMB on those services to be able to do that. And so what's the requirement of SMBs, right? It's SMB stands for server message block. You usually have to have a server to do that. And therefore you have to usually be a Windows server out there to provide that service. Some people still call it CIFS drives because the technologies are somewhat related. But if you could get rid of that server, your file server out there that you have to manage and maintain, even usually that'd be a Windows server. It may be a different OS, but in a lot of cases for Windows Enterprise, that's going to be a Windows server. You get rid of that on as an unnecessary layer, and things are much more efficient. So what we've done is we've actually worked with their APIs for those three cloud vendors, the three most popular cloud vendors, to be able to save a user profile at logoff to that object-based path. And so we've eliminated man-in-the-middle type infrastructure for SMBs, and no one else has done this in the market. It's another way that – so the benefits are this. User logs off, and you can change this path for a system under management already. Profile's already under management, and as soon as they log off, their profile is sent to the object-based storage and stored there. And it's able to be, at the very next logon, retrieved in seconds. And again, it goes cross-OS. It goes cross-platform, too. So if the ProfileUnity is set up and running and authenticated on the same domain, it's going to ping and bring that profile right back down. And it avoids a migration. So Windows 7 to 10, if that new environment that you've had the user log on to, it's immediately transformed. So if you're not ready to go or transform your desktops yet, you can bite off on this and easily get your data, user profiles up there to that path and have your user profiles saved to object-based storage without an SMB any longer. So it's innovative, and no one else has done it, as I said, and we've seen a ton of interest out of this, and big interest, of course, out of the DaaS players in being able to take man-in-the-middle technologies out.
Well, that's where I wanted to go with this. Back to the AWS thing, right? You guys are working very closely with those guys, and a lot of AWS customers, Workspaces customers use Liquidware. So I imagine supporting object storage is the perfect relationship there, right?
They were certainly interested in it, and it helps obviously consume that, but that's the way a lot of the world's going. Who wants to have big data centers anymore on-prem?
Totally agree.
And if you can leverage their expertise for object-based storage, having built-in replication, and you're able to roll things back, and I don't have to manage these. There's no servers involved anymore that you have to manage. Then why wouldn't you do it? The cost of that storage per terabyte has come dramatically down to where it's more cost effective to do that than run your own servers and manage them on-prem in many cases. And again, as I stated in that scenario earlier, some of the services are even slightly better than others about making sure that information is replicated immediately around the world, so it's available to log on to from no matter where you are, and you don't have to worry about geo area anymore about, do I need to replicate this data to their other servers or do anything else? So there's a lot of advantages in there to be able to do that. And it helps automate that migration of that user, not the OS itself and all that. We don't scrub the OS and do that, but we take all the things that matter and we save it up for the user profile.
No. If it's sitting up in the cloud, because object storage is sitting up in the cloud versus local storage, as you mentioned, who wants to build a data center. But if our desktops are still locally, in profiles, one of the things that always took some time to load, right, because they had to download to the machine. Is there not a cost in performance?
You would think so, right? But our profile efficiencies that we have for getting a profile across any type of network compensate for almost all that. We've seen in our testing, it might add a couple seconds at logon, literally 3 to 5 seconds or so over on-prem. So your testing may vary. It also depends on your connection to the internet and things like that. So there's a lot of variables involved. Stratosphere can help monitor that with its logon performance and logon analysis that's built into Stratosphere or monitoring diagnostic solution. But the advantages that you get can far outweigh those few seconds at logon. You can also use it as a secondary area to store your profiles. So you can be saving them out there to back them up and not retrieving them from there. So we can do a save only to those paths.
Interesting.
So it doesn't impact the log, at log off, it doesn't matter. Most people either walk away or their VDI instance seemingly goes away, but it's still logging off on the servers in the back office. And then there's literally zero impact to backing up your data there. If you're restoring it from there, you can restore it from two places. You can do that in ProfileUnity to be able to leverage two data points, an on-prem and a cloud services. So you have disaster recovery immediately for that, or if you're ready to step up to DaaS later, you're always ready to go. So we've got ways around that. We also compress a profile 50-to-1 compression ratio as the user logs off. So anything that's moved across the network is compressed. And if you leverage it with in a non-persistent environment with our profile disk technology, which still requires an SMB, so could be on-prem or an SMB in the object-based services, you get what looks like a persistent profile that mounts very quickly up front. And then what I've been talking about supports this object-based is our portability technology. We only do delta differentials. So you literally might only be moving 25 megabytes across. And so that's what I mean. We've got multiple ways of speeding up that process so you have a very minimum impact if it adds anything. And at the most, we're seeing it add just a few seconds. Good question, though.
That's so interesting. It seems like this would also be a great migration tool for getting people from local on-prem desktops to desktop as a service too. And that being said, how would you know when it's done? I'll just leave it at that.
Two great questions. So first off, yes, it's ideal for a migration functionality in that you could even use it temporarily and then go back to on-prem if you want. So you could, I was in a client site just a couple of weeks ago, and it was for all state employees to manage their user environment management. And they had over 20 domains that they're wanting to consolidate and data centers all over the state that they wanted to consolidate. And they were looking for a strategy on how to do that. Where can they aggregate the data and things like that? So if you had this in your environment with ProfileUnity, you could at first log off, shift all user profiles up to object-based storage. And that would happen and aggregate them from the 20-something domains that this state had. And then it's all simplified. You could move it back at any time to on-prem, or you could put in two data points. You could put one at a central SMB in the state and also the other one up there. And then, like I said, you could cut over at any time. So it's excellent for migration because also, don't forget the fact that we go cross OS in that, and it happens dynamically. It's not a one-time only process. So here's the big thing with using our technology. It's zero user downtime. There's literally the user's never down, which could cause 2 hours to a day or two for user state migration to take effect if there's problems. User state migration tool is the free tool from Microsoft. It's a one-way process. But what we do is we, out of the box, support all these OSs with zero user downtime. So the second part of your question, how do I know when this is done, is that several years ago we built in callback inventory into our management console for moving these locations across. And so we know when this is done for the user author data part. Just as long as every user has logged on and logged off for the profile portion, it's complete. So you want to make sure that you have had users log on and off at least one time. And Stratosphere can help you with that information too, to make sure that everyone's logged off and logged off on at least one time. So that causes that conversion to occur. The user author data part, it works a little different, doesn't leverage the object-based storage. If it does it through the file replication services of Dropbox Enterprise or Amazon Workdocs or Google Cloud for the user, Google Drive for the user. We can put a path in there for folder redirection so they always have access to their user authored data, not the profile, but my documents, photos, things the users have done to avoid using SMB drives for that as well. Instead, to use cloud native services in that regard. So you have continuous connection to the cloud through any of these services, and of course the user can pull down those files on any desktop that they hit. It doesn't have to be a full-blown desktop. It could be on an Android or phone device to access their My Documents folder from anywhere, and we can make that cutover happen, and we provide an inventory for that information because we provide replication to those services. And once they're replicated to those services, of course, they can be replicated back in the two-way bidirectional services that those excellent solutions provide.
That's very cool, Jason. That's very cool. Hey, I want to talk about I wear two hats, right? I got DABCC Doug and the industry Doug guy, and that's been doing this forever, right? And then I have this iGel Doug guy, which is a lot of fun, right? Being able to share great stuff with what iGel's doing. And one of the things I'm very interested in is what you guys are doing around iGel. And can you maybe share some of that information with us and relating to this Stratosphere project or product and what have you?
Yeah, good segue, because we're supporting more and more ways to log on to Windows. And if that's thin clients, we can we have, in a few cases, custom-built agents to do that for certain thin clients. And iGel is one of those that we've written a custom agent for. And we can tell you not only what's going on in the Windows session, but also we can monitor the hardware and the user experience from totally that endpoint all the way out. Instead of just the Citrix receiver session or the Horizon agent session out or Amazon workspaces session out, we're monitoring the hardware itself in addition to all those things. So we shipped that last fall in Stratosphere, and to get that agent, all you do is you install Stratosphere. It's a virtual appliance, and then you're able to go out there and you browse the agents that are available, and you can pull down that iGel agent. It's already built into the UI. It's easy to use. The other thing that we do is we can help assess for thin clients too. And we've done this for years, being able to run an assessment and give you a report back if you want to repurpose hardware and or augment that with thin clients. And of course you can do that with looking at adding and augmenting either a thin client hardware device or even your UD Pocket that's out there, and being able to move users over to that way as a way to log on to their Windows session no matter where it is, local or on-prem or in the cloud. So that's Stratosphere, and specifically Stratosphere agent that's built specifically for the iGel OS.
Well, Jason, that's amazing. I mean, that's really, really powerful. That sounds like something everybody would want to use if they're using a thin client or any type of device, right?
Yeah, it completes the full picture of the user experience. When you're monitoring the endpoint itself, it really does complete the full picture. So you not only know your session and how it's going there, but you might be using that thin client for other things, the internet browser and other things than just connecting to the internet. Yeah,
well, that's iGel has numerous customers that they look at it as an operating system and are doing things locally on it, not just using it as a dumb box that connects to a Citrix or VMware or Microsoft session, right? iGel is much more than just a dumb box. It's an extremely intelligent, secure box. So that's really powerful. We should do an entire podcast on just that. If somebody wants to learn more about what you guys, before we get there, Synergy is coming up. So is there can you share anything with us about what, you're going to be showing off, or anything special you're going to be doing at Synergy? Maybe people can join, things like that?
Yes. Liquidware has been doing Synergy since 2010. So we started in 2009. We finally got up the list for picking a booth, and we're right in the front of the room. I mean, cool. Literally when you walk in the front door, we're right there, booth 401. So you don't even have to know the booth number. When you walk in the door, look at the Liquidware booth will be right in front of you. So we'll be showing off what I spoke about today with ProfileUnity and the new updates. We'll also be showing off FlexApp, because we'll reveal this on a podcast with you later, but we've got new functionality coming this summer that is equally as exciting about the cloud as I talked about today. And then we'll also be showing off Stratosphere, and we can show you more about that purpose-built agent for iGel, and also our login analysis reports, which are of great help to any Windows enterprise.
That's great. That's great, Jason. If somebody wants to learn more, what do they need to do?
Our domain is Liquidware. I apologize if I used the term labs in the past. Some people know us as Liquidware Labs, but liquidware.com is where you can find out more information. And there's recorded demos out there I'd encourage you to look at if you want to know more. And there's also information on how to download. And unlike other solutions in this market, you can download and be installing our software literally in a matter of minutes. We're not going to have anybody call you and bother you because you're probably a pretty smart desktop admin and can have everything you need yourself, because our solutions are point, click, next. To install them, they require no additional infrastructure and are easy to get up and running. You may get a call a little later, of course, as a follow-up, but you can download and trial our solutions with a trial key embedded today for no hassle.
Cool. You have free NFRs for community members, don't you?
We do. So if you're a Citrix CTP or an end-user computing champion for VMware, those are the types of groups that we offer not only free NFRs, but if you have a lab of your own, we have licenses available upon request. You can fire off an email to info@liquidware.com, and we'll get you a license key that will power your lab with the entire suite of Liquidware essentials, which is everything we spoke about today.
And what about an IGEL community member?
They're qualified as well.
Well, thank you very much.
Yep, we'd be glad to provide you that, and you can also be some of the first people to kick the tires of that new IGEL agent in Stratosphere by requesting the same license key that I mentioned earlier for Liquidware Essentials.
Perfect. Jason, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing you at Synergy, of course, as always. And I won't be able to miss you this time, although I never miss you. My problem is I go to your booth and you're never there. That's my problem. Is I stop by and you're never there, stop by, never there, and you're always like, Doug, I got a T-shirt for you. I was like, sweet. And then stop by, never there, stop by, never there. Finally, I see you, like, Doug, I gave the T-shirt away.
Mm-hmm. Can only wait so long till prospects and customers come first.
You're never there. So I'm just going to sleep. I'm going to bring a cot and sleep at your booth this time.
Don't say Doug? That because I'm supposed to be working. I'm supposed to be working the booth, so you don't want to tell them I'm over at the dinner table or eating desserts on the side.
Okay. Hey, buddy, thank you so much again for taking the time to do this with us. It's, like I said, it's always a true pleasure to have you on. I look forward to having you guys on again. Guys listening, please check out what they're doing in general. Get the licenses, play around with it, the whole 9 yards. So, Jason, if there's any, I'll give you the last word if there's anything else to say. And on that note, thank you again for for doing this with me.
Well, I look forward to seeing you out there at Synergy in Anaheim. And if those of you who can't make it to Synergy, we'll also be at VMworld this year. We're also going to do Microsoft Ignite in September. So there'll be plenty of opportunity to see you, if not at a Citrix user group community meeting around town, because we sponsor a lot of those. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Okay, that concludes another episode of DABCC and another interview with Jason Smith. So I like Jason. He's just a good guy. If you guys are heading to Synergy or any of the other events, head over to his booth, and hopefully he's there this time. Yeah, he's busy doing customer meetings and I guess eating cakes at the side of the booth is what he told us he was doing. But no, he's always busy doing customer meetings, which is sort of a bummer because I really love seeing him. So I always see him just as much, not as much as I would like. So and of course, the boys and girls at Liquidware are just wonderful people. So, and their products is, second to none almost, if not. So, I try to stay agnostic, so I shouldn't, be, taking sides or anything, but I really like these guys. I like what they do, and I think they add great value. And what else do I say? So again, Jason, thank you so much for kind of coming on the show as many times as you have, and always bringing us up to date with what's new, and it's sort of sharing some of your insights on what's going on in the community too. So I don't think there's a year of DaaS. I think there's going to be a decade of DaaS is what I think. And once we're there, it's not going to stop. So DaaS at VDI was definitely, if at all, a bump in the road on the way to cloud deliver infrastructure. That just, I don't know how anybody could not see that. It's clear as day. I always get a kick out of predictions at the end of the year because they're not predictions. If anything, they're just, this is where we're at and this is what's going to continue. If you get something out of the blue, then yeah, that's something. But maybe that's a prediction. I think the sky's going to turn yellow and the sun blue. That would be very interesting. I don't predict that at all. So let's see. I think in Mars, Elon Musk said something like that. I forget. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for taking the time. I will be at Synergy also. We're actually having a happy hour with the IGEL community. So please go head over to the IGEL. We actually have a LinkedIn account now, IGEL, or LinkedIn Twitter account, IGEL Community, at IGEL Community. And in there will be the invite for the happy hour. Come and have drinks with us. Free drinks. Who doesn't love free drinks? I'm going to be there. Thin Print's going to be with us too, which is always great. I love those guys talking about, solving a problem. They solve a problem second to none for sure. And so, great stuff there. You meet me if you don't know me. If you want to meet me, if you know me, then come on, stop by, and I'd love to see you again, because I don't know many people I don't like. So this community is some of the best. Is the best community there is. Period. So now that's second to none, right? And what else to say? Synergy is just a great time. So it's just around the corner before bat an eye, and we'll be on our way to Anaheim. So what else do I say? But thank you guys very much for listening to DABCC Radio. If you like the show, tell a friend. That's how we grow. Don't forget to head over to DABCC.com for the latest and greatest everything IT news and support and resources, and you name it, it's all there. Hey, join the IGEL community. IGEL community, www.igelcommunity.com. Boom, right there. We're doing some neat stuff there, really sharing a lot of things. And you'll log in and you'll see a whole, as a member, you get NFRs. So, like this Liquidware one, you'll be able to click on a link and go directly to what Jason talked about and download a free copy of all this stuff for yourself and for your lab. And, what geek doesn't love that, right? I sure love it. So I've always told everybody, I don't buy product, because why would I buy it to learn it, to sell it? No. Luckily, these guys will give us free, NFRs, because we're the influencers, and that's what you guys are as a listener. That's why you're listening, is to learn it and then share it with others and implement it, and then in return, hopefully buy bunches of it, because it solves your problem. So at this point, I'm rambling. I'll just say thank you so much again for listening to DABCC Radio.
CC?
DABCC.
Say it again. DABCC.
DABCC.
Can you say it again? DABCC.
DABCC.
How about DABCC?
DABCC.
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 DABCC.